Hey, this is Colin Nathan Alim, the real estate boy, and welcome to Real Estate with Soul. Now, on this live stream, what we look to do is we take the lives of Black real estate professionals and those who support us, and I want to bring their story to you. So today we have Sabrina Brooks. How you doing, Sabrina?
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem. Though I'm glad we were able to finally make this happen. Now, if you guys don't know, Sabrina is the public adjuster guru. Now, a lot of you guys may not know what that is, and I've had a couple experiences with it. So I'm going to tell my experience, and then you guys will know what she does. Okay, so I had a house, and I'm like, okay, well, let me I was installing one of those things where you spray the water and it cleans you, Berea, something like this.
Do you
Um,
mean a bidet?
Bidet. There you go. I always get the name mixed up. So I was extolling one of those myself, and I was like, all right, well, it's leaking a little bit, but I'll just like come back to it. No, I thought I put it on correctly, and nothing happened. And I went out, and it just so happened that I went out, and I came back maybe like 4 hours later, and the water met me at the door. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? So I rush up to the toilet and I turn the water off, and it's just like water everywhere. So I call a buddy of mine who's real handy, and I'm like, listen, it's water everywhere. I don't know what to do. And it just so happened he was a public adjuster. So he said, all right, well, the first thing you got to do is mediate it. He said, so let me call some people and blah, blah, blah. So what he kind of did is either he came over or no, I took the water off. And then he had some people come over. They tore out my whole ceiling and they brought these big blowers over that I had to have on for like 3 days. And
Yeah.
then once everything dried, I had to have somebody else come and fix the ceiling. And then we did all of that, and at the end of the day, I came up like $700, I think, from that. When everything was kind of done. So that's my point. That's my experience. But I'm gonna let Sabrina, who's the expert in this field, tell you guys exactly what a public adjuster is.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing your story. So I think your perspective of what happened was there were a lot of moving parts from the time you walked in and were met so graciously by that water at your door. From that point on, there was people in and out of your house. There was this going on. There was that. There was just a lot going on, and you don't really even maybe have a good understanding of who all those people were, what their roles were. But basically, a public adjuster is brought in as a consumer advocate to help and negotiate with your insurance company, but also to do so much more. We also bring in our own vendors to help dry out your property. We manage the whole claim. We make sure that you have the money to make the necessary repairs. So I like to think of myself as a claims hero, here to assist people when disasters happen. And that's what it sounds like your friend did for you. He brought in some different people to help you. He met with the insurance adjuster. You were able to get the work done. And then you ended up with it doesn't always happen, but sometimes there's a little money left over to, either make extra repairs or, whatever you want to do with that. So every real estate professional should definitely have a public adjuster on their team.
Gotcha. Now, when I talk to my clients about public adjusters, people's knee-jerk reaction, because they don't know, is that when something happens to their home, number one, they have a knee-jerk reaction to fix it themselves,
Uh,
or to call the insurance company.
that's what
So
I thought
why
you
are
were.
these so why are these two things not the first things you should do?
Okay, so one, you definitely don't want to have the knee jerk reaction to fix everything yourself. And this is why you should definitely have a public adjuster on your team, because I have a lot of real estate professionals, friends, family members who I try to drill it into their heads. Send me a picture. Send me a picture. Show me what's going on. Not everything is worth filing an insurance claim, but there are so many instances where people think, oh, that's not a big deal. You know, I, I'll just fix it myself, or I'll just leave it as is. And some of those things turn into 10, 15, 20, even $30,000 claims. So
Wow.
if somebody owed you $20,000, would you want to know it? Would you want someone
Right.
to be like, hey, let me help you get this $20,000? Or would you be like, no, I love my insurance company so much. I think they should keep that money. I mean, if you want these insurance companies to keep the money that they owe you, then you know what? Maybe you should go out of reach into your pocket and fix it. You know, some people might really, really love those insurance companies. They love seeing the Super Bowl ads. They love
Mm.
visiting the stadium. So, I mean, if you love your insurance company, if you want to see their stock go up and their CEOs get bonuses, then maybe you should make the repairs. But if you want to know if someone owes you 10, 20, 30, $40,000, then like I said, you need a good licensed public adjuster on your team that you can send these photos to, because not only will they tell you if someone owes you that money, they'll also tell you when it's not worth it to file a claim, if it's not covered, or if it's not enough damage. It might fall below your deductible, or it might just be a few $100s. So as much as I'm pointing out when we should file a claim, I'm also telling my clients and friends and family members, like, no, we're not going to file this claim. Either it's not covered, you know, you see damage, you think call the insurance company, or you would only get a couple $100s. And that's a frivolous claim. You want to file claims when you're getting thousands of dollars, not hundreds of dollars. And then you brought about another good point, is most people's reaction would be to call the insurance company. And that's most people's first thought, like, let me call the insurance company, let me see. You should never call the insurance company and start asking them questions of coverage. Every time you call with damages, that gets logged as a claim. Most people don't know. We're all familiar that we have a credit report, you know, that reports our credit card payments, if you're delinquent on that, your mortgages, your car notes. And we are very cognizant that, you know, you want a good credit score. But most people don't realize they also have an insurance credit score. They have an insurance credit report, and it's called the CLUE report. I can't remember exactly what CLUE stands for, but they do keep track of all your claims. Anytime you call in, basically, you could be assigned a claim number, whether you get any money or not. If you're calling just to say, oh, this is what happened, so I have coverage, you don't want to do that. Um, they could say, no, you're not covered for that, and then make you fix it out of your own pocket. So,
Wow.
um, you know, it's always best to contact a licensed professional who is there to advocate for home and business owners, because your insurance company is advocating for their own insurance profits, bottom line, shareholders, you know, things like that.
Right. And that's what I tell people. I said, if you call the insurance company, they're going to spin you. They're going to spin you, and they're going to spin you in their direction. They
Right.
do this day in and day out. And their goal is to not spend money. Their goal is to make profit. They're not a nonprofit organization.
Right.
So you guys gotta kind of, you know what I mean, go with the professionals. Now, how did you come about this industry, and how long have you been in?
Okay, yeah. So, like so many people, like so many millennials, we were graduating for college at the height of the Great Recession. So, at about 2010, we were kind of at the height. You know, the sky had stopped falling, but we were, I was a senior in college, I was of the mindset or of the reality that for these entry level jobs that most college students were used to graduating and getting,
Hmm.
now there are professionals who had more experience, higher degrees than myself, who were competing for these same entry level jobs. The job market, they for entry level, they wanted you to have experience because there's people with 10 and 15 years of experience who are willing to fill those roles. So in my mind, I just kind of knew I'm not going to graduate from college and get a job in my field, which was psychology. I only have a bachelor's degree. There are people with PhDs coming along working for, the wages that I would need to make to be able to pay these student loans. So over I think it was the winter break of my senior year, I answered a Craigslist ad and went to a opportunity meeting. If anyone has been in multi-level marketing, or you think you're going for a job and it's network marketing, multi-level direct sales, which I don't have anything against. And I learned about this industry, public adjusting, which I never heard of. I had no idea, and I didn't own a home. None of my friends owned homes, so of course I was kind of doubtful if I would be successful in this, but I'm like, let me give it a shot. I wasn't successful in Mary Kay. I wasn't successful in the travel businesses and the high price health juice businesses, but maybe this will work for me. So I just really went all in because I really didn't have any other choice. There really was not that many. If you're Gen Z, it would be really hard to believe because right now you can throw a stone and find a way to make six figures, but there really
Right.
wasn't that many ways in 2010
Right.
that we knew about uh, to make six figures. So I just went all in. I got my public adjusting license and I just hit the ground running. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I would be trolling Home Depot trying to find people who were uh, buying the telltale signs of property damage, tarps, renting wet vacs. I would talk to the contractors in the parking lots. I would follow people home to their homes
Nice.
that I found in the Home Depot parking lot. And I just had to make it work. So
Right.
the first year I made about $8,000, which really wasn't, anything to write home about. The second
Mhm.
year I made $56,000. And
Nice.
that was almost double what my friends were making who did end up finding jobs after graduation. And then the third year was my first six-figure year, 3 years out, or
Nice.
like 2.5 years out of college. So I'm like, oh, I'm on to something. And I just, I never turned back. I worked for a firm for about my first 10 years. And then right before the pandemic hit, I started my own public adjusting firm. And I
Right.
call this industry RIP proof. It's recession proof. I started in a recession and did very well for myself. It's inflation proof. We make more money during times of inflation, and it's pandemic proof. The pandemic did not shut my business down. And again, I made more money. So all of these economic catalysts that could normally shut down a business, public adjusters actually profit a little bit more during these times.
Nice. Now, how does one get paid off of it? Because I know when I did it, my public adjuster, I think they took like 30% of what. So if you could just go as far as if you can just paint the picture as far as the claims and then how the public adjuster actually gets paid.
Absolutely, absolutely. So public adjusters get paid exactly like most lawyers get paid, and that's on a contingency fee basis. So I like to say we get paid like lawyers without the law degree, the
Nice.
student loan debt, having to pass the bar exam, which means if we don't get you a settlement, there's no fee. You don't have a bill. If we do get you a settlement, we'll take a little off the top, and every public adjuster has like a different rate. Certain states will have fee caps, meaning we can only charge so much, but in the great state of Pennsylvania, we don't have a fee cap. So I kind of, hearing you say 30%, I venture to believe that you used a public adjuster from my previous firm that I was working with. Um, I charge a little bit less. I usually charge between 20 and 25% of the insurance claim settlement for average size losses. And then the more damage you have, it kind of goes down on a sliding scale. So if you have like a large loss fire, it would probably be somewhere between like 5 and 10%. Um, so I would say anywhere from like 5 to 25% is what you would expect to pay. And some firms, they charge a little bit more. If you hire a lawyer, because public adjusters and lawyers are the only professionals who are licensed to negotiate and affect the outcome of a claim settlement, most lawyers are going
Uh-huh.
to charge 35 to 40% of that same settlement. So public adjusters were really, really honed in on that niche industry of property damage settlements. And a lot of lawyers, they may handle claims, but they'll usually also be doing like personal injury or some other type of contingency fee based claims. They're usually not doing, just property damage. I do know a few um, who are really niched into this as well. But by and large, attorneys are going to charge you a little bit more.
Right. And with my personal experience, I actually did it twice. And like I said, the first time I came out, the second time was basically a wash because the same thing happened. The same thing happened where I had a tenant in the property at this time, and the water came, and I went over there, and I kind of thought I fixed it, but I didn't really fix it. And I had in my mind, like, I should call a plumber, but it was like Sunday, like at 5 o'clock. And
Right.
I'm like, ugh, what plumber am I going to get like right now? Let me just wait till tomorrow. And when I called the tenant the next day, man, she was like, it was water everywhere. And I had to get the same thing done over, and I didn't have a receipt of when it got fixed the first time.
Yeah.
So they didn't. So I do want to say the thing about a public adjuster is they're going, because some people may have in their mind, the general consumer may have in their mind, well, I know my policy. I can call the home insurance people and talk to them. But the public adjuster, because they're seasoned, because this is their profession, they're going to see things that you don't see. And
Right.
they're going to know how to talk to the insurance company the way, like, because it's almost like a separate language.
Oh, it's definitely a lot of jargon that goes into these negotiations that I try not to bore people with. But, insurance policies are contracts. So, sorry if you hear my
Mhm.
dog. If you, most people, I'll say, hey, give me a copy of your insurance policy. And they'll send me the deck page, which is about 2 to 3 pages, their declarations page, which there is a lot of information that I need off of the deck page. But most people don't even realize there's a much thicker policy that's about 50 to 60 pages. That is what public adjusters live and die by. That's our sword. That's how we're able to get such high settlements, or we're able to honestly say this is not covered, or your policy XYZ, they excluded this. So I say that the first thing you should do is have your policy reviewed by a public adjuster. This is a free service. I think most public adjusters offer it. I know early on I learned just offer a free policy review. It's in my blood. Like I love reading insurance policies. Like
Oh,
if I
wow.
find out you own a property, I'm like, you need to send me your policy. I need to make sure that you're adequately protected, that you're not underinsured, that you're not with a really shady carrier, that you don't have some weird tucked in exclusion in your policy. So I offer that as a free service. But yes, there it's a whole separate language. And you touched on another point, that your second claim didn't go so well, because you couldn't prove that you had the work done. Public adjusters also memorialize the loss. And what that means is when I go in, I'm taking a ton of photos of all the damage just so I can properly estimate and see what's the full extent. But when you do the repairs, I'll either come back out or ask you to take your own photos and send me your receipts so that I could submit for something called recoverable depreciation, which is, like I said, one of the industry jargons of sometimes you'll see the top number of your settlement and be like, "Ooh, that's good." But then the check comes and you're like, "Oh, wait, that's a lot different than the number I saw." And a lot of
Right.
times that's because they will take depreciation, which is an accounting term we're familiar with. When you drive a car off the lot, it loses 20 to 30% of its value. Everything is naturally depreciating. And we love it on our taxes when we could take that accelerated depreciation as real estate investors. But the same thing happens with insurance. So if you painted your house 10 years ago, they will pay you what it costs to paint it, but they will subtract for those 10 years. Now,
Right.
if you make the repairs, you get that money back. So I'm always very conscious of letting my clients know, well, if you make the repairs, make sure you send me your receipts, make sure you send me your pictures so I could get this recoverable depreciation. But all my files get stored in the cloud. I have it stored in like 3 different places because, it's my duty to memorialize your loss. So if 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, I'm approaching 15 years in the business, I'm at about 12. If you have a loss and you don't have that receipt, I should be able to go into my files and say, here's the receipt you sent me, or here's the photos you sent me after the loss. Or even sometimes I could go back and see the pictures I had taken during the damage and say, well, this is a different color paint. This is different flooring. Obviously, they did the repairs. So, whereas you probably have no idea where your receipts are, you don't save those pictures. Most people don't even take pictures of the damage. I always have my client's information. I never get rid of it. I'll
Now learn
always
from exactly learn from my experience that well, for number one, use Sabrina because she definitely looks like she has an awesome system. And I mean that jumps into if you could just talk about as far as public adjusting as a business.
So I was really inspired by my own career. When I found this industry, like I said, I had never heard of public adjusting. And by and large, when I'm going into these networking groups, even high net worth rooms where people have millions of dollars worth of real estate, and I tell them what I do, and I always preface that by saying, well, do you know what a public adjuster is? And I would say 90 to 95% of the time, people don't know what a public adjuster is. Now, that is such a great opportunity for this industry because it's it's already established. We're licensed and bonded and regulated by the Department of Insurance. That gives us a lot of credibility. But most people just don't know what a public adjuster is. And to me, that means we need way more public adjusters out there. So I like to compare it to realtors. Like a lot of people will get their start in real estate. They'll say, oh, well, I want to get my realtor's license. And I'll say, well, do you know any other realtors? And they'll usually say, like, yeah, I know lots of realtors, or
Okay.
I'll ask industry professionals, how many realtors do you know? Like just off the top of your head, can you think of more than 10 realtors that you know personally?
I know more realtors than any other profession.
Right.
And
So, not to squash anyone's dreams because we all deserve to have dreams, but we don't need any more realtors. It's a
right.
saturated industry. People know multiple realtors. So when you get your realtor's license and you're like, I'm so motivated, you're competing with people who already have a reputation. They're already known as a realtor, and they've been doing this for years and years. So while you can become a realtor, I would say become a public adjuster. It
Okay.
is it is also a great way to tap into the real estate industry. It's way less crowded and saturated. You learn how to estimate damages. So if you are interested in becoming an investor and you're walking through properties and you have no idea how to
Mm.
evaluate your numbers, you will
Right.
get such a good hands-on training in estimating. You'll also become familiar with an estimating software. So some some professionals, some investors, I run their numbers for them in my software, and let them, just know here's about what it would cost to do these repairs. Um, you also will run into deals where people might not want to make the repairs. So, in instances, I've been able to wholesale
Oh.
properties for my clients. So I'll always say, don't become a realtor, become a public adjuster. Or if you are a realtor and you're in a highly saturated market, I think that every realtor should have their public adjusting license,
Ah.
because it is a great way to maintain contact with those clients you've established a relationship with. Don't just make money when they buy a home or sell a home. Maintain that relationship, and every time they try and install a bidet themselves, every time their client or their tenant overflows the toilet, be that person that they call, because I get a lot of referrals from realtors, and I think to myself, like, I love referrals, but they should be making thousands of dollars off their own market. So I really think that anyone who is in the real estate industry, this is the perfect side hustle for them, because you will get so much experience and you'll be able to cross market a lot of your services. So I do have an ebook, 7 Steps to Start a Public Adjusting Firm, which is a lot easier and cost effective than most people think. That website is www.publicadjustingsecrets.com. That's the name of the ebook and the course. And then I also have a mentoring program, um, that people can join if they want 12 months of more hands on guidance. Um, that is booked through Calendly. I don't have that link. But if you want to get more information on being a mentor, or if you live in the Philadelphia region and you think, I don't really want to start my own firm, but I would like to get licensed, then I am looking for people to become a part of my team. You can email me at sabrina@pledgeadjusting.com. That's the name of my firm, Pledge Adjusting Services. Or if you're a real estate professional and you don't want to start your own business, but you know you need a public adjuster on your team, you know you need some policies reviewed, you can email me there as well. I read policies all day long as a service. I love doing it. I would love to let you know before you have a claim if you're properly insured.
Wow, you're blowing my mind right now. Absolutely blowing my mind because I never thought of that as a side business for a realtor, and it just makes sense. I mean, it goes, I mean, because realtors are in constant contact with the public, and
Right.
we're always talking to people, and people are looking at us a lot of times to quarterback their home situation. So it's like we put ourselves out there as a one-stop shop as far as, okay, anything with this home that I just sold you, call
Right.
me for. And if you're able to service them and being a public adjuster too, I really can't see any other license that you can have that would fit like that. So, okay, because of course my network is a lot of referrals. I mean, a lot of realtors.
Right.
How much does it cost to get licensed? Like, how much does the license cost?
So every state is different, just like when you become a realtor, like I'm sure Pennsylvania is way different than if you think California. In California,
Right.
for some reason, everything's more expensive. And in Florida, for some reason, everything's more complicated. But
Or
in
Jersey.
Pennsylvania, right, in Pennsylvania, you can be licensed. So I'll just try and run down some of the expenses that you'll run into. So you have to pass the test. In most states, the cost to take the test would be about $40 or $50 a go. So I don't know how many times you're gonna take to pass it, but I would say just schedule it and study. Like if you went to college, you didn't start studying when you found out you had a test. You started
Right.
studying the night before the test. Um, so it's about $45 in Pennsylvania. The license cost, if I'm not mistaken, is about $200 biannually. So every 2 years, it's $200 or $150. I have so many licenses. I just pay it when they're like, "Hey, you owe us money if you want to keep this license." And then in Pennsylvania, you have a $20,000 surety bond. When you see the number of the surety bond, that's not the number you have to pay. The number is much smaller, so I think maybe that is $150 to $200. So on an annual basis, it's about, let's round it up to 300 so no one can call me a liar. um and that's what it costs. Now of course you have other expenses, the tools of the trade. Just like as a realtor, you have some different expenses, but as a base level to be licensed, you're in under 500 bucks. I
Okay.
have a Facebook group also, which helps. It was for initially the people who purchased the book Public Adjusting Secrets, but
Okay.
I just decided to leave it open because I'm here to serve the public. So if you go on Facebook and find the group Public Adjusting Secrets, there's a ton of resources. I'm always posting to try to encourage people like, hey, get your license, guys. We need more public adjusters. June 1st kicked off hurricane season, and this is a great time to be a public adjuster. You can make six figures in 6 months just working these storms.
Wow. That is, you definitely blow my mind. And I know a lot of people looking at this are probably going to be hitting you up and trying. Does your course take a person? Where does it take them from? Does it take them from absolutely nothing as far as the getting a license, and then what to do as far as the business goes, or how to build their business?
Absolutely. So the ebook is really just designed to get you started, to get your foot in the door. But the course picks up, goes more in depth on how to get started. But also, I have a section called Six Figure Strategies. And this is really all the plays I wish I knew when I was starting, but that really got me to that six-figure hurdle. I give a lot of tips. So if this is something that you want, something to make six figures on the side, like I said, this is recession proof. We're about to go in a recession. People's buying patterns drastically changes. Businesses that were thriving when we were all getting PUA money and
Stimmies.
money, and
Right.
people were going crazy because they've never seen that much money. It's about to take the
Yeah.
opposite turn because
Right.
now things cost way more. We've never paid this much money for gas. Um, most things, like we're in strange times. We've never lived
Right.
through, like this generation has never lived through runaway inflation and things of that sort, that the after effects of a pandemic. And I'm saying
Right.
that recession, inflation, pandemics will all be catalysts to public adjusters making more money. So if you're looking for a stream of income that thrives in times of turmoil, then now is the time to get your license. So make sure you join the Facebook group. Make sure you get the book, and make sure you email me to get that free policy review.
So, well, we're going to put all of her contact information in the description here, because this will be on YouTube also. So I definitely want to thank you. After I get off this, I want to go and get her ebook so I can look more into this because I'm definitely super intrigued. Like I said, even though I know a public addressed person, I never thought about it being that complement to being a realtor. So I
Absolutely. Oh, I think
definitely
realtors, this is the perfect side business for a realtor.
awesome, awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to leave us with before we cut this thing out?
Maximum protection is the key. That's what I stress to all my clients. Insurance is a beautiful cost that you want to pay. You want to be properly insured. It is not a scam when you know how to use it. So I just want to impart that to everyone. Make sure you have your homeowner's insurance, make sure all your rentals have the proper coverage, make sure your cars have the proper coverage, make sure your life has the proper coverage. That would be my lesson to all your viewers.
Awesome. There it is. There it is. I'm gonna again, all of her links would be in its description. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, Real Estate with Soul. If you can't get Sabrina for some reason, get me and I'll put you in contact with her. All right, y'all. We out, man. Take care.